New report shows more than half of trans and non-binary youth considered suicide in 2022. More than 50% of transgender and non-binary youth in states across the U.S. seriously considered suicide in the past year, according to a new survey data on a worsening LGBTQ+ youth mental health crisis. The Trevor Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to LGBTQ+ youth suicide prevention, on Thursday released state-level data from nearly 34,000 queer and trans youth ages 13 to 24, showing alarmingly high rates of suicide attempts, depression, and anxiety across liberal and conservative regions. States where lawmakers have aggressively pursued anti-trans legislation, including Texas and Arkansas, have extraordinarily high levels of suicide risk, though the rates are nearly as high in some progressive states, including New York, California, and Oregon. The data release comes amid rising government restrictions on the rights of queer and trans people in conservative states, as well as a drumbeat of vigilante violence targeting LGBTQ+ events and spaces across the U.S. The rates of trans and non-binary youth who seriously considered suicide were similar in the next largest states, at 56% in Texas, 54% in Florida, 50% in New York, 54% in Pennsylvania, 51% in Illinois, 54% in Ohio, 55% in Georgia, 53% in North Carolina, 52% in Michigan. And 16 to 20% of trans and non-binary youth reported attempting suicide across these states. The majority also said they wanted but did not receive care. Well, that's depressing, but also let's do quick shout outs for the Trevor Project. Please support them. They do great work supporting LGBTQ+ youth and suicide prevention, self-harm prevention and counseling. So please do, if you have any charity, if you have any spare money this holiday season, give it to the Trevor Project. Now, this is depressing but unsurprising. Let's face it. Yeah. It's not that even before LGBTQ+ rights, especially trans rights, were particularly spectacular. But now it has come under a constant drumbeat of very visible attacks. Yeah. And of course, young people are scared. The young people who are looking at these news, looking at people reacting to them or labeling them as whatever, disgusting names that they use, are seriously hurting their mental health. It's opening a door to bullying. It's opening a door to familial abuse. Yeah. I'm just going to outright call it familial abuse when you try to put someone in conversion camp, when you're calling your son and daughter's names, when you're calling your relatives' names. That's abuse.
Yeah, no, and it's awful, and it's going towards our kids. And I wonder if any of those people that have put these horrible bills, over 200 of them that were sent towards our way last year or this year, if they think about the children, if they think about those folks that might want to kill themselves. They're being hit by all ways, okay? You're saying if you come out to a teacher, we have to tell your parent. Sometimes, at home, you're not safe being who you really are at that age. And I think about how weird I was as a young little Latina. I was 6 feet tall at 12, okay? Just understand that. So I was already weird and odd, right? And but back then we weren't in the news as much as we are now. I couldn't imagine putting on the TV and seeing all this hate and then feeling okay with myself. Yeah. And it's over half, it's over 50% in most of these places. In Texas, of course, it's 56%. I feel awful for those children. Trevor Project, what they do, everybody that works at the Trevor Project should go to heaven. All right. Make sure that you do so. Here locally, we have organizations like SunServe. There's such a stigma behind asking for help. Children, there's help for you. Parents, if you have children who are LGBTQ+ and maybe they're not ready to talk to you, send them in the right direction. Send them over to SunServe. They have trained people there to just guide your child, to let them know that they are normal and they are okay and they are loved and beautiful no matter what they hear from bullies or from Tucker Carlson or, the crazy people like that. You have a child. It's like,
Well, I think I mean, a couple of things. Obviously, this time of year, suicide is the biggest time of the year that faces suicide across, all spectrums of our community, and especially the LGBTQ plus community. And we're talking about teens here, but let's not forget to recognize our own adult community who may be estranged from their families, that may have been separated for reasons that we're talking about right now. And the thing I got from this story is it doesn't matter where you live, because hate is, again, it's on TV, it's on the internet. So you can live in a progressive state like New York State, or New York, and live in New York City, but if you live in Buffalo and your local community is very anti-LGBTQ, that may really harm you. So I just think we have to be very cognizant of what the messages we're sending to young people, because it's very dangerous. It is very dangerous.
Especially at a time where we are so, when we were growing up, we grew up in Latin America, and it was, we were isolated in a sense. We were just concerned with our community. Now it's coming from all directions. So as great as it is to be connected to the world, we're seeing even the lunatics and the lunacy that's coming out of Russia and places like that are attacking our community.
Yeah, well, I also, and actually Jeff brought out something very, I want to point out that, for our community, especially right here in Wilton Manors, the gayest place on earth, I might add, this is why I appreciate so much that during major holidays, our places don't close, our spaces don't close. Alibi, the pub, or you say what you would about one street with 20 gay bars, but those places stay open. Yeah. And those places stay welcoming, so that when you are estranged from your family, you do not feel alone. When you're here, when you're new, when you just moved to town, you don't feel like you're by yourself, especially during holiday moments, because those are very triggering. Right.
And it's a good time to remember, call somebody who might not have family or friends, and there's always room for one more plate at dinner, right?
Of course.
So add somebody to your list and invite them. I think it's a good message for everyone.
I noticed that I guess it's been almost a week since Twitch passed away. Yeah. Remember when he had committed suicide, and that triggered a lot of my people. A lot of my friends and family were triggered by that. And I know he wasn't one of us, but it's still. It just makes you, it reminds you of how sad the world could be sometimes, and folks at home, remember, someone's social media is not their true way. That is not how they're really feeling. All right. Like Jeff said, send somebody a text. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Just a hello can go so far these days.
Because we get caught up with our own families, and it's important to think about those people out there that we interact with on a daily basis or socially, and say, hey, what are you doing for the holidays? An invite never hurts.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Make sure that you seek help right away if you have any, if you have any thoughts about that matter. I'm sure we can you can just look up National Suicide Hotline or the Trevor Project, and they will definitely assist you by the phone.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.